What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. This is SadArtWitch, and I'm coming to you today with my first ever Sims 4 speed build. So I'm starting off with a really basic box house. I usually start off with a box house, and as I start to add the different rooms of the house, then it'll start to take a more dynamic shape. I'm placing my kitchen in here first. I don't know why, but I always place my kitchen first. It just kind of helps me figure out what the flow of the house is going to be. So once I get that down, I start to work on the living room. I knew going into this that I wanted the living room to have sort of a fireplace feature in it, and I decided that I was going to sandwich that in between these two bookcases and create sort of a cozy reader's nook. So the theme of this build is Cottage Witch. I wanted to create something pretty simple and warm, homey kind of vibes, but also with a little interesting twist. So here I'm playing with the pedestals. I knew I wanted to do exposed beams and pedestals in the house. I just wanted to see where they might fall. So once I get the couch in there, I figure, that's about enough space for a living room. And I start to figure out, okay, where are my rooms going? Where's the bathroom? Where's the bedroom? How's that gonna affect the shape of the house? How can I make it more interesting? I decided to do a stone feature on this little bump out where I have the fireplace. I figured that gives it more of a chimney vibe. You see, I'm trying to keep it simple as far as the packs that I'm using. I knew obviously I wanted to use cottage living, but I was trying to use as much base game and as little packs as I could to make it more accessible for people on the gallery. So here I'm playing with the idea of a stone floor. Traditional cottages really have those stone floor features, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to go more modern or more traditional with the build. Here I'm trying to match the wood tones of the doors to the wood on the interior. I know it kind of looks a little busy right now with all the wood and stone. I promise it comes together later on. This is kind of like a trust the process build. So after I placed my trash can, I obviously have to place my cauldron because she is a witch after all. And you can see I'm toggling my grid on and off just because I want to make sure that this house is playable. I do my best to make sure that all my builds are actually play tested. That way, you're not just having something that looks pretty, it's functional too. As you can see, I'm starting to figure out what the layout for the bedroom is going to be, what my tones are. Still trying to use as much cottage living as I can. And then I switched to a wood floor, and you're thinking, okay, didn't you say there was a lot of wood here? Why would you do a wood floor? Obviously because I'm going to change the walls. I fiddled with this for a while. Really nothing was speaking to me. To be honest, at this point, I was not happy with the build at all. But I muscled through, just, trying to make the best. I knew something good was coming. It just wasn't coming to me at that moment. So now I'm roofing. I learned this trick from watching Lil Simsy. When you're roofing, you're gonna wanna roof the largest piece first and then get those smaller pieces on. It just allows you to figure something out that's a little more dynamic, a little more realistic. And here I placed a platform on top of my chimney because I knew I wanted to raise it up, and when you just raise up the floor of a room, you can only raise it up but so much. It doesn't go all the way. So if you place a platform down and then build half walls around it or walls around it, you can raise them up to actually be at the same height. Just throwing down a mossy thatched roof to give it more of that woodsy cottage vibe. Placing a nice small window above the sink and starting to place windows just, where they feel natural around the house, where it would catch the most light, but also where it would give the house the most character. Here I am struggling with a bay window that just refuses to fit my color palette. You're gonna see me try that bay window again later, and it just was not working with the aesthetic of this build. Again, relying on my cottage living, really trying to use as much cottage living and base game as possible. Then I found these tiny curtains and they were so cute, but they were island living, and I decided it's my build and I use as many packs as I want to. So I got rid of these hideous curtains that are in the bedroom that I just absolutely despise and replaced those with the ones from Seasons, which are so much cuter, so clean, so sleek. Now I'm expanding on the seating area, getting a coffee table, trying to figure out what my color palette for the living room is going to be. The couch is cottage living, one of the chairs is cottage living, the other chair is cats and dogs. None of them came in the same colors. So I hate that The Sims does that. They don't match the swatches to anything. And here I changed the walls and it makes everything just look so much better. Oh my God, I don't know what I was thinking about with that wood paneling. So I take all my generic lights out and I start to place chandeliers. Again, I'm in cottage living and I'm trying to make that long lamp work. I've always wanted to use them, never was really able to find a way unless you're using a super tall wall height, which just isn't realistic for a traditional cottage. And then I'm looking for a very specific candle that I cannot find because I did not have Live Edit and Debug on. If you're using Better Build By, make sure that you always have Live Edit and Debug on. And if you're not using Better Build By, I highly suggest that mod. It is amazing when it comes to doing clutter, and it actually allows you to change the tones of the lights while you're in build mode, which you can see I keep doing because I hate that yellow light it automatically comes with. I'm checking over the house and decide to scrap it. I was not happy at all with the shape of the rooms. It just felt really flat to me. I knew I could do something better. So I deconstruct the bathroom and the bedroom and decide to make a second floor. So I'm just gonna throw some stairs in that pocket and rebuild the bedroom upstairs, which I'm actually going to loft. I think already is starting to look more interesting and more dynamic. I feel like I keep saying dynamic, but it's dynamic. So I make a small bathroom underneath the staircase. I know it's kind of tiny, but your Sims actually can use it. There's enough tile space in there. I throw a railing on the staircase that I kind of hated, so you will see me take that out. And now I figure out how to use my long light. It's actually attached to the ceiling on the second floor, and if you remove the floor afterwards, it stays on the second floor, which is pretty cool. And now I remove the railing because it was ugly. And you don't really need it. Like, it's, you know, there's walls on both sides. You're not gonna fall. I always try to think of, you know, what is the most realistic in real life when I'm building in The Sims. Because, I mean, I know it's a game and, you know, it's a fantasy. You can do whatever you want. But I really like that hyper-realistic feel. So that's the little bathroom right there. And I build up my chimney another level. Make sure that doesn't clip. And I start getting these windows on here. Then I start to play with pillars. You see me just moving these around, trying to get them even across the space so your Sims can walk on. It still, you know, looks good. So here I'm following a tutorial I found on YouTube by Sensational Builds. I will link it in the description below. This is one way to create exposed beams. You're gonna look up plank in the debug items and place a couple of them on the ground. Then you're gonna size it up with the bracket key and raise it up with the 9 key. And ideally you'll want them to be just at the top of the pillar with the pillar just showing. Now I'm actually placing them a little bit too high. You're gonna want the top of that column to show through. If it does not, it will show through your floors, which you will see it clipping through my floors in just a little bit. And placing these planks is a bit of a labor of love. It's just not the simplest thing to line them up exactly and get them pushed through the wall. There's the clipping through the floor. But it's not the easiest thing for them to be lined up exactly and get them placing through the wall so they're not just floating and they look like they're actually one large piece of wood. But if this is really the look that you're going for, it's definitely, I would say it's worth the effort. So now that everything is placed, I'm back upstairs in the bedroom, just scooching everything around so it's not clipping through the curtains. Again with a cottage living rug. I actually wind up putting this downstairs later in the build. So I'm putting just a copious amount of windows in this build because I figure you're in the middle of the woods somewhere and you don't really have neighbors close by, so it doesn't matter if you have 100 windows in your house. Here I'm trying to match the color of those pillars just more closely to the color of the planks. Again, nothing actually matches because it's The Sims. And I'm swapping out that fridge to the one that matches the stove. Here I'm going for another small window feature. It really upsets me that none of the cute windows come in that dark brown color. And once I'm done placing windows, it is time for clutter, my favorite part of the build. And by favorite, I mean not at all. I love clutter. I think it looks beautiful. I think, you know, I've seen people do it so well. I myself am still very much learning. So my clutter style is pretty ADHD, I would say. I literally just go through decorations, every single category, and just start pulling stuff out. It might not even be for the room that I'm working on. As you can see, I'm putting a lot of stuff outside. But this is just a style that works for me. So here I find some really pretty crystals, a debug object from Realm of Magic, and I decided to put those inside of the cauldron. I'm pretty sure I've seen this done before by Let's Build Houses on their stream. If you've not checked them out, I would highly recommend. So inspired by the crystals in the cauldron, I decided that I was going to do crystals on the mantelpiece. Oh, this pot, you can actually place things on top of the stove. As long as it's on the back two burners, your Sims will still be able to cook on it. So here I'm back on the mantle again, just looking for more crystals. And now it's time to bust out the red shelf. This is a CC shelf. It's called OMSP shelf by the creator Amobe. I'll link them down in the description below as well. This thing is like a clutter lightsaber. It'll snap to any wall and you can alt place it, so it'll be just on line with whatever shelf or whatever desk area that you want to put stuff on. You place items onto the shelf and then you can drag them onto the surface and they won't be floating like sometimes they do when you raise things with the 9 key. They will look like they are exactly placed on top of whatever surface you're placing them on top of. So placing things on the mantle of this fireplace was actually a little bit difficult because it has slots on it already. So when you're placing stuff with slots, obviously the object is going to snap to the slot, and sometimes that's not where you want your object. So I wound up moving the fireplace out of the way just so I can, properly place the objects where I want them. So here we are again in the kitchen working on clutter. So here I am placing a couple potions on top of the fridge. I do wind up moving those later on, but for the moment they looked pretty cute up there. And then I remembered I pulled out this shelf here from Debug, and it seemed to be a better place for a little witchy station. So I looked for a bit of extra wood to put under there, and I found a magic wand and thought, of course she's gonna have a magic wand. Also, she'll have a broom because she's a witch. So I jump into Realm of Magic to see what other witchy finds I can add to the build. Of course, you have to put your hanging herbs above the bed. And I swap out that rug, like I mentioned, for something a little more alchemist. Then I found these random lights that are it's just a glowing orb, but they look really good underneath the cauldron. And now I'm placing just a small stack of books here. I'm pretty sure I've seen Let's Build Houses stack books like this as well, or it could have been Claire Witch Baby. I couldn't tell you, but I'm pretty sure I've seen somebody stack books like this before, so I'm not going to take credit for it. Then once I get my big old book of magic there, I throw in this little notebook and my witchy station is complete. Here I try to use the same red shelf trick to get the books to stack, but since the dresser has slots on it already, the books just wouldn't stack on their own. Again, you'll see me just jumping back and forth between the kitchen and the bathroom and just any place where clutter might be. Because of my build style, I see the clutter as it comes. Some people really have the items in Sims memorized and know exactly, what pack, what debug item is from, and where they want it exactly before they even start the build. And that's just not me. I kind of just like roll with the flow and let it come to me, as it comes to me. Then I pop into the bathroom and place just the basic essentials, toilet paper, bath towel, hand towel. I really wanted to keep this space as simple as possible because it is the smallest space in the house. Then you see me pulling more debug items out from decorations. My build style is more until it's too much, and then you dial it back. So here we are in the more is more phase of the building. And this is probably what takes me the longest, just scrolling through debug. Then I found this super cute, I don't know what, for the ground. And I wanted it so badly underneath the cauldron, but for some reason it just kept clipping into the floor. As soon as I placed it, it would disappear. It was so sad. I think it would have just completely taken it to a new level. And this part I debated taking out, but I decided to leave it in because maybe someone out there can help me. I do not know how to use Tool. I can use it to raise items and I can use it to scale items. I just can't rotate for the life of me. As you can see here, I can't figure out the axis. After I get it on the right axis, I don't know how to move it properly so that it stays changed on the axis. I just wanted it to look like it was leaning on the wall. I'm pretty sure I saw somebody else do that one time with an item, and I wanted it to, but it was not in the card, so I wound up scrapping it. Then I decided to bring it back and create a little writer's desk area here. And I thought that this was cute. Obviously, no computer in this build because, we are Cottage Witch, we're cottage core, we're living off the grid here. But it's a cute space for your sim to come and read a book or maybe journal. In here, I'm doing a custom plant that I saw as a TikTok tip on Let's Build Houses TikTok. Again, if you do not follow her, you need to check her out on TikTok, on Twitch. I think even she has a YouTube channel now. So with this custom plant, all you're doing is taking a debug plant from anywhere. This is from Island Living, and putting this into a vase and just meticulously placing it over and over until it's not clipping out of the vase and it looks like a custom plant. Here I was trying to add just a couple more plants to the house. So I've got this hanging plant here by the door. And I tried to do a living vase on the side, but it had a weird lighting glitch on it. I don't know why that happens sometimes. You know, items will be fine in certain builds and then you try to bring it into a different space and then the lighting just falls on it wrong and it's just a mess. So now that the inside is done, I take it outside and start to work on our little rundown greenhouse. This is a debug item from Realm of Magic. Your Sims can't actually get inside of it. I wish you could because it just looks so freaking pretty. But I thought it was a nice addition to the build. So now I'm placing my little farm. I've got my chicken coop. I'm getting my barn. I thought this was really interesting. You can actually place these things pretty far off the lot and the game will still recognize them as being on the lot. I mean, that's pretty cool if you want to save some space and, you know, add more clutter. I love that garden gate. It just was not working with the fencing that I had down. That's something that I kind of struggled with during this build was, you know, there's so many items that are just so freaking cute, but they weren't fitting the aesthetic, and I was trying to hold myself to something that was pretty structured. So I'm scrolling through the debug plants, just trying to find something that speaks to me. And I find this flower awning from Romantic Garden that I absolutely fell in love with and decided to drape it all around the house. I thought it added a nice little pop of color that it was just missing before. I mean, if we're building a cottage for a green witch, an herbalist, I mean, there's got to be plants everywhere. There's got to be flowers, there's got to be all types of greenery. So here I'm going with planter boxes underneath the windows. I started to put them on every window and the front was looking just too messy, so I decided to scrap them on the top there. And here I am going for a little stacked hay moment. I think it's really cute. It just gives, like, you know, another element to the barn area. And now terrain paint. I am not very good at terrain paint. I've never been good at terrain paint. As you can see here, I'm experimenting with just different layering, different colors, different types of terrain paint. And I decided to put a little pathway down, a little stone path leading from the front of the house to the barn gate. I've got this dirt swatch here that I'm putting along the edge, just trying to blend it a little bit so it doesn't look like somebody slapped a sticker on top. And I'm really trying to get that little barn area to look like it's been stepped on pretty well by the animals. So now for the garden, I tried this in-ground garden patch. I think it's so ugly. So I just went with the one with the rose. I like it so much better. It just feels more authentic to me. Then I go to place a tree and realize my house is a little far, so I scoot it over, which absolutely ruins my garden path. So I have to reshape that, no biggie. This actually gave me the opportunity to play with other colors, which I actually really like, having the darker dirt layered on top of that light brown dirt. It feels more intentional that way. So here I'm placing little garden pavers everywhere. I think these things are so cute, and they kind of match the terrain paint, the stones of the terrain paint. I'm placing them, just some of them a little smaller, some of them a little bigger, trying to rotate everything to make sure it doesn't look too copy pasted. I fell in love with this little mushroom stump, and later on I get a little mushroom crazy, and I'm not mad at it. I feel like if you're a witch living in a cottage in the woods, you're probably gonna have some mushrooms on deck. Now I'm gonna jump onto the gallery. I saw Lil Simsy do this on their stream the other day, and I thought it was just one of the biggest breakthroughs in my building I've ever seen. People actually upload rooms of like fully grown plants, either perfect or excellent quality, and you can download it and just place them in your game, and your plants are already like ready to go. I thought that was freaking incredible. So I decided to place some plants already grown inside my build. I'm trying to organize them by season, so when they would be in bloom, that way you don't just have random patches of plants that are growing and plants that are not. Then I place a couple of these trees and rebuild my fence. I put a dragon fruit down. I will have a sim come and plant that later. So now I'm placing a little garden seating moment. I actually didn't realize that these are bar height chairs, but I guess it has bar in the name. So we've got a picnic basket. And our tiny little mushrooms. We see we're getting shroomed out in the corner there. And I'm placing just debug plants in these debug planters. I wonder if real plants would grow in them, because these planters are a lot cuter than the ones they give us in the game. I don't know, just a thought, and I wasn't about to test it out and find out today. Always, always, always checking to make sure you're not clipping through the walls when you're placing plants and anything up against the house. And this debug grass patch actually fit over my little farm area perfectly, so I was pretty happy about that. How many mushrooms is too many mushrooms? I threw this lavender plant over here in the corner by the bicycle. Now outside looks good. Now I'm checking around outside and I realize I kind of want to bring that pop of color up top as well. And I think that this was just like the icing on the cake when it came to the way the house looked. So now I'm back in the gallery looking up cross-stitch patterns because I want to put something on the walls in the house. It feels a little bit bare. I placed them in the living room, but I actually wind up moving them to the staircase. I think they flow a lot better in the staircase, especially since we have these paintings from Realm of Magic that just fit the space so well. At the last minute, I decide that I am going to bring those pillars and those exposed beams upstairs. It felt like it only made sense. If there's exposed beams downstairs, there would be exposed beams in the same spots upstairs. So here I am just placing them again, making sure that everything lines up. Remember, sizing up with the bracket key and raising with the 9 key. And then I size down my carpet, and that's the build. I really hope you enjoyed this build. If you did, be sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/SadArtWitch. See you soon.